AM 1460, the new WXBR. This is the Metro South Morning Show. I'm Mike Paiva alongside Peter Zimbor. Be sure to live chat with us throughout the show on Twitter at PM in the AM Boston. Love us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel, PM in the AM Boston. Joining us on the line right now is Kenn Doane, author of Billy's Bully and former WWE Tag Team Champion. Ken, thanks for joining us on the program this morning. How are you?
Doing good, you guys. Thank you very much for having me. Very much appreciated.
Now, Ken, tell us what inspired you to write this book, which takes on the issue of bullying.
Actually, you know how the whole thing came about was I read a bad Dr. Seuss book.
Really?
Dr. Seuss, yeah, when he was alive, he was like the author of his books. But then after he passed away, people still used his name, and there was somebody else that wrote the books. I don't exactly remember which title of the book it was, but I read it, and I was like, that's really disappointing. Like, I expected more. So then my girlfriend, she said, well, why don't you should write something better then. So I was like, okay, that gives me an idea. And in high school, I always, I'd get A's for creative writing, and they'd always rhyme, and it was very entertaining. When it came time for me to read my papers in school, the kids were it was like comedy hour. So then I decided, well, I need a topic, and then this was like 2009, 2010, so bullying wasn't as crazy as it is now, but I saw a few articles about it, and I remembered that not every state has to teach about bullying, but every state has to teach about reading. Every state has to read to the kids. So that's kind of the way I went about it. So it's more just to help other kids and show my creative writing in a positive manner.
Well, here's what I like about the book itself. And you mentioned that high school bullying seems to be the hot-button topic right now. But I like the message of the book because you're getting kids at a younger age to learn about bullying rather than waiting until they're possibly already getting bullied in high school. This way, they kind of get a leg up on the whole situation.
Yeah, sometimes, too, as kids get older, they get set in their ways and their mindset, and it's hard to change from there. But when they're young, I notice, too, my nephew, who's 5, he'll come home and he'll tell me everything that he learned at school that day. And, kids at that age, they want to learn. They want to be taught new things. So bullying, reaching them at that age is a great way because now they spread the word too about anti-bullying. So they almost become anti-bullying ambassadors themselves and they don't realize it. But they spread that message of how to be a better person, how to be a better friend, how to treat each other with respect.
We're chatting with Kenn Doane, author of Billy's Bully and former WWE Tag Team Champion. Ken, you've been traveling to schools and spreading the word about bullying and about the book. Do you enjoy speaking to the kids themselves about the book?
I do. It's crazy. I did an interview earlier, too, and I was asked that question to compare it. Like wrestling, with the WWE, I could have a great match, and, thousands of people will cheer afterwards, and that's great. But these kids, it's like, when I give them my message of anti-bullying and how to be better and how they can make their own life choices to benefit themselves and their family, I can see the light bulb go off in their eyes, and that in itself is more rewarding than having a great match, because it's I can have a great match, but whose life am I making a difference in? Not anybody really. But if I talk to these kids and I can see that I'm making a difference in their lives, well then that is more rewarding and it lasts longer too.
Right, exactly. And it lasts longer with them as it's something that they learn younger and move on and take with them as they get older. So it's very cool.
Exactly. I mean, like a wrestling show, you can have a wrestling show the next day, everybody's forgot about it, they've moved on with their life. These kids, it's great because I bump into them into a store or something like that, and they're like, hey, Mom, that's the wrestler, author guy that came and spoke to us. And they, we've become friends pretty much, and they remember it. So it's great knowing that I left a lasting impact on these guys.
Ken, let's talk about your run in WWE for a little bit. When you were first brought up to the main roster after developmental, you were put in a group called the Spirit Squad, which was a male cheerleader group. What were your thoughts when Creative first came to you with that idea?
Well, it was weird because we never went through Creative. They said, they sent us up there, and I think we were in Cincinnati, and we sat there with Vince in his office, and he was like, okay, I want 5 cheerleaders. And I was like, I thought it was a joke. I was like, what? Is he serious? How the hell are they going to do that? We're going to be cheerleaders? Who are we cheering for? And he's like, no, you guys are wrestlers, but your gimmick is cheerleaders. And then I got to thinking, and I was like, well, I guess that would actually get a lot of heat. That would definitely work. And then I found out, later, the whole deal was to bring back DX. DX can't fight 2 guys, they got to fight 5 guys.
Right.
So it all, at first it was kind of like, what the hell are we getting into? It was really weird for me, too, because being very athletic and whatnot, I played football throughout high school and all that, so to become on the opposite side of the field, cheerleader, is almost like, what the heck is going on here? But, I mean, at first it was kind of weird and it got uncomfortable to play, but then after a few times I was like, hey, screw it, let's just go crazy with this, and it ended up working great, you know? So I'm actually, people bust on the gimmick, but people forget, you know, we don't choose our gimmick, Vince does. So if someone says, hey, you're going to be in this movie with Sylvester Stallone, but you're going to get shot at the end, no one's going to go, oh, wait, I don't want to do that. You're going to go, okay, I'll take the bullet. That's cool. I'm in it, you know?
Exactly. And you got to remember, too, at that time, you guys were probably one of the most entertaining aspects of Raw during that time period whenever you guys were on TV. So you guys made it work.
I mean, yeah, it worked tremendously. And I saw, you know what's crazy, too, is one of my buddies at the college that I actually go to, he does, like, different statistics and all this, and he's, like, a stat major. And he was showing me, like, 2006, obviously the business went down, like, 2000, the ratings. They totally dropped. But then, like, they kind of, like, stayed in a straight line. Then 2006, they went up a little bit, and then ever since then, they've still been going down. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Spirit Squad did that. I'm thinking the Spirit Squad, guys like Edge and Orton, you know, I mean, there was that era, DX came back. So it was like a group effort, you know what I mean? We all contributed to this greater thing, and it takes a lot of different things from different aspects. You know, it's not just one person. I mean, when The Rock and Austin had their thing, it was The Rock, it was Austin, it was the undercard guys. You know, there was so much different stuff.
Do you have a favorite moment from your Spirit Squad days compared to when you were repackaged later on? Do you have a favorite moment during that time?
I think, I don't know. I mean, I guess winning the tag belts was cool, but there was a house show that we did, and me and Mitch and Nick, who's now Dolph Ziggler, we had the idea of we'll make a lasso with a microphone cord and we'll catch the Big Show. And this was a live event house show. So we came out and they're doing the cheer, and Mitch is setting up the lasso, and I'm showing the crowd a Subway sandwich. So we put it down there, and then Big Show came out and he saw it, and like he didn't see the lasso, he saw the sandwich, and he was like, "Oh, very funny." So he picked up the sandwich and threw it at us. And while he's doing that, we're pulling the lasso, and he looks down, and he has this shocked look of panic on his face. And the lasso goes around his ankles, but he jumps out at the last minute and stumbles, and the ropes actually caught him. Otherwise, he would have fell. And then he got legit mad. Like, that match became a shoot fight, and we definitely lost.
For those who don't know,
we tried catching the Big Show, and we almost did. And you know what's crazy is thinking back, I don't know what we would have done had we caught him, because had we caught him, he'd have been twice as worse. We wouldn't even have been able to let him go. We'd had to, like, tie him to the ring post or something.
You would have awoken an angry giant at that point. Now, folks who don't know,
he was angry.
House shows are events that are not usually taped for television, which lets you guys have a little bit more fun in the ring compared to if it's a live television show, correct?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, live TV, plus with house shows, like I always say, you get more money at the house show if you want to watch wrestling. If you want to watch the show aspect, go to Raw, because it's more talking pyrotechnics. You know, it's a circus feel. But a live event, there's no pyro, there's no Titantron. You know, it's straight wrestling matches. But it's entertaining wrestling matches because they involve the crowd a lot more. I mean, the show, they're catering to the people at home. The live events, they're catering to you, the fan, right there in the seat.
After the Spirit Squad was disbanded, you were repackaged as Kenny Dykstra. You had several matches with Ric Flair. What was it like to work with Ric at such a young age and that point in your career?
To me, it was awesome. Like, I wouldn't say I'm cocky or arrogant, but I know what I'm capable of. So when they said I was going to do something with Flair, I said, okay, cool. Like, I know that I can go with Flair in the ring. I know I can compete with him. You know? Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what it's all about. You can't send somebody in there that's green or someone in there that can't hold their own in a wrestling match, because then it's just not going to work. It's going to be a horrible match. So Flair, it was great, and I learned a lot from him, because before the show, you see each other, you go over different ideas, different things. I would never see Flair. I would never know where he was. And, like, there were times where I would look for him. And even if I found him, what am I going to say? Like, because he's the veteran, obviously, so he's calling the match. But maybe if I was around him, maybe he would talk about the match and relieve a little bit of pressure on me. So I was like, nope, never happened. So then they were like, okay, And I'm looking at the cards, and I'm like, okay, where next? And I still haven't seen Flair at all today. So I go up to the gorilla position where it's right before you go out to the ring. And then Vince would say, okay, you guys got 15 minutes. And then here comes Flair, and he'd say, figure four finish, okay? And I'm like, okay, cool. And then my music would play, and they'd send me out. So it was just straight. All the matches we did, we just won it. Just win them all.
And that must have been a good learning experience for you as well.
Oh, it was great because Flair, what's crazy too, is Flair will grab you in a headlock, and then he'll start hitting the ropes, and he won't say nothing. And you just have to go off of the feel. You have to go off of what he's... Hopefully you figure out what he's thinking as he's running.
Now, I'm sure all the stories of Ric Flair that we've heard, him being the limousine-riding, kiss-stealing, wheeling-dealing son of a gun, that's all true. That is Ric Flair to a T, even off-camera. Is that correct?
That is him, yes. That is totally Flair.
Flair being Flair.
Yep, this Flair being Flair. That's his role. That's how he does it.
Now, Ken, after you were released from the WWE, you had a tryout match with TNA, and it was reported that you turned down a second tryout match. What was the reasoning for turning down that tryout match?
Well, when I first did it, they flew me down and whatnot. And then the second one, they flew me down. They didn't want to fly me down. They wanted me to go down there for free and not get paid to work and all that. And at this point, it just wasn't something that I was comfortable doing. I mean, I understand there's certain times in your career where you need to make certain decisions, but to me, and then even after that, they even offered me a contract, TNA, when I broke down money-wise for TNA and Dixie Carter and whatnot. It wasn't anything that would have been making any money at all.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking with Kenn Doane, author of Billy's Bully, right here on the new WXBR 1460. Ken, where can fans either see you in action or promoting the book?
You can check Facebook.com/Billy's Bully, and that will keep people up to date with where I'll be in different appearances, book signings. I've been to many Boys and Girls Clubs, schools, camps, sometimes even wrestling shows. I'll be at a show this Sunday, actually, PLW, and honestly, I don't even know where it is. It's in Rhode Island, but I'll figure it out.
Power League
if you
Wrestling.
Follow on Facebook, yeah, it'll be up there.
Fantastic. Now, one quick question before I let you go. You mentioned Dolph Ziggler earlier, who was part of the group with you as the Spirit Squad. Do you talk to guys like Ziggler, or a guy who right now is probably one of the hottest things in WWE at this point, Fandango, who was your former tag team partner in the Independents as well? Do you talk to these guys at all?
I do. Actually, I don't really watch the show, but I let them know, like, hey, if you're doing something big, let me know because I want to watch it. So I always had this joke with Dolph where, like, he'd do, like, the Money in the Bank matches, and I'd say, hey, I'm going to run in and, like, toss you the briefcase or something. And so, like, we'd always text, like, this crazy game plan that would never really unfold. But, like, when he's going to do something big, he'll text me. So then I enjoy watching it then, you know what I mean? I don't really watch it anymore unless it's something that I really care to see, you know?
We're speaking with Kenn Doane, author of Billy's Bully. Any last words to our listeners and your fans before we let you go this morning?
Just thank you for the support. And bullying is such a big topic now in schools and, like, via social media and all that stuff. And so my whole goal is really to take kids and give a different view on the situation and how they can treat it and how to diffuse a situation, the difference between conflict and bullying. So that's pretty much what I do now, man. Check out the book, Billy's Bully, and Facebook.com/Billy's Bully. You can follow the book and follow the appearances as well.
The book is called Billy's Bully, and I'm sure it's available anywhere, correct?
Yes, you can check Barnes & Noble's, Amazon, all that.
Fantastic. Kenn Doane, I want to thank you very much for joining us on the program this morning. Let's have you back at some time in the future. That'd be great.
Definitely. This time I'll have to get down there to the studio, and we'll give away a book or something.
Fantastic. Ken, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you, buddy.
This is AM 1460, the new WXBR. You're listening to the Metro South Morning Show, PM in the AM. We'll be back right after this. Stay tuned.